Your audio is still recording, yeah?
Yeah, it's still recording.
Cool. Awesome.
It's beat 695.
You're looking at it in beats.
Yeah.
That's great. Dany MEYER, drummer extraordinaire. Thank you very much for being on the first episode of my new podcast / YouTube interview channel.
Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you for being my guinea pig. We met at the European Drumeo Hang last year in Eindhoven. That was what?
Yeah.
September, October last year?
In September.
September last year.
28th of September last year, yeah.
And you gave an amazing drum clinic, and that I believe was your first drum clinic, was it?
It was, and yeah, thanks a lot. It was the first time ever. I was like super nervous, yeah.
Well, it was very good. You taught the Moeller technique, or the Moeller technique. So what have you been up to since the Drumeo European Hang?
Since the I was doing some concerts in the winter time and doing a lot of records, and I really pushed my drum cover channel on YouTube. So I made a lot of video records, drum cover records, live lessons, and all those stuff.
So take me back to when you started on the drum kit. You started at school?
Yeah, that's right. In the 8th grade, I think. So I was like 8 years old. 11, 12 years old, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was in our music class. So we did something like a choir session in this class, and we did the song from Opus, Life is Life. I think it's a famous tune, and it's fun to play it on the drums. It's just like the bass drum and high, the boom, tsk, boom, tsk, boom, tsk, boom, to doom. And yeah, our music teacher wanted one of us students to play the drums to the choir to give like the rhythmic background. And yeah, I gave it a try and it worked really well. So this was my very first contact with drums. And after this music lesson, he asked me if I want to join the youngsters school band. And yeah, I thought, why not? Give it a try. Let's see if I can work it out. And I got stuck to the drums till today.
How did it feel that first time, like sitting behind a drum kit and playing the drums? What did that feel like? Were you addicted straight away, or did it take you a while to become kind of enamored with the drums?
Actually, it felt really natural to me, just to put the feet on the pedals and to play it. So I never had those contact problems like some of my students do when they are young. But the weirdest thing was to sit in front of all these people from my class, and everyone was looking at me, and I was playing the drums, and everyone was staring at me, and okay, how does he do it now? And does it sound good? I have no idea what they were thinking, but I didn't like it that much that people are looking at me all the time.
Okay, yeah.
And I think that's why I love playing drums in a band, because you're kind of the background person. Not everyone recognizes you after a concert, but you take a big role in a band
Yes, yeah.
that nobody understands maybe.
Yeah. So visually, you're kind of not front and center, but obviously for the music, it's essential to have a good beat. So
Yeah, yeah,
you get the best of both worlds. So you're a little bit of an introvert, Dany.
yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed. Okay, so you played in school for a while. You joined the band. How long until you kind of took the drum kit more seriously?
Not much time, because I really, I don't know how to say it in English. I really caught the fire for playing drums. So the I wanted to learn it super fast because I joined the band and we played songs, and there was no, okay, what's the quarter height and the boom tsk, chuck. So we were playing songs, and I had to serve it with a groove and with fill-ins. So I wanted to learn it really, really fast. Um, and that was the point why I took it super serious from the beginning, I
Hmm.
guess, because I had to do a job. It's not just for my own in my rehearsal room. I had to serve other people and other musicians. So yeah, I took it really serious from the beginning. And the good thing was that because I haven't had a drum set, um, my music teacher allowed me to play the drums after school in the afternoon in our music room. So yeah, I didn't do much homework. I went directly to the music room and played drums the whole afternoon.
That's great that you
So
had that
yeah,
opportunity to practice so frequently so early on, I guess. And obviously the
uh,
pressure of having those other people that you had to play for and support. So
yeah,
I guess it's a very different way than a lot of people learning the drum kit start. So like myself, I kind of started playing by myself and not actually
hmm
playing for other people. So
hmm
it's a very different way to start off, and it kind of probably put you under that kind of not intense pressure, but that kind of pressure to learn quickly. Were you learning from music or were you picking up music by ear? How were you actually learning?
yeah. I picked it up by ear. That was the only thing because I did not went straight to a music teacher or a drum teacher. Um, Two of my neighbors were playing drums, and since these days, I was always standing in front of their house when I heard that they were practicing in the lower part of the house.
In the
What is
basement?
it? Yeah, in the basement. I just listened to what they are doing, and okay, I can try this as well. And I did it by ear, and I listened to the song, tried to play it. Um, I had no idea what is a quarter note or a quarter note beat or an eighth note beat. I just play it and have been a self-taught drummer, so to
And
say.
at what point did you then start taking lessons from somebody else?
I think one year after I joined the band, then I went to my neighbor and told him that I joined the school band and I need or I would like to take some lessons if he can show me some stuff. And he was a really good drummer back then. And yeah, that was the start of my drumming lessons.
Nice. And did you know any other drummers when you started, or did you kind of pick up on who the other drummers were to kind of learn from later on? Did you know drummers?
You mean the famous drummers?
Yeah. Was it just your neighbors, or did you know about other drummers in other bands, kind of some of the more famous players?
No, not in the beginning. I think I think after half a year, I got to know Green Day, and then I knew Cool. This guy is like amazing when it comes to punk rock drumming. And yeah, of course he's super fast, and that was something that I really wanted to achieve, to play fast and all those fast fills. And um, Basket Case back then was like a super famous tune to me, and it was fast, and those fast fill in the chorus, boom, da 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 boom. Um, yeah, and that was the first and the only drummer I really knew,
Okay. Yeah.
but that was enough to practice.
Yeah, plenty to get up to speed with. Absolutely. I remember playing. I was playing guitar at the time, and I taught myself, bar chords to Green Day back in the day when I was on the guitar. So I wasn't playing drums then, but yeah. How important do you think is having like a musical background when you approach the drum kit?
From my point of view in the beginning, I think it's one of the most important things. Um, and just because of one reason, I nowadays I teach students as well, and many of them never thought about playing in a band or joining maybe another friend who's playing guitar just to jam along. And many of them who don't join a band or play with other musicians um, stop playing after 3 years, 4 years, because they don't know why they are doing that stuff, why they why are they sitting behind the drums and practicing all those grooves? Because they, yeah, don't know what to do with all the stuff they are learning on drums. And my first musical contact was when I was 8 years old, I guess. My parents wanted me to play the organ. Is it the organ? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And I just did it for myself. So I was sitting in my room and practiced this song and then practiced the next song. Went back to the lesson and I practiced the other song, but I never played with other musicians. And that's why I stopped, because I got really boring just playing for myself.
Yeah. I started off on the organ as well. I played the organ for 10 years.
Yeah, wow, that's cool. So we have the same background.
Did you have both keyboards and the pedal board?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
The classical.
That was great.
Yeah.
But the organ isn't a very portable instrument. I suppose the drums aren't really that portable either. But yeah, the organ you definitely can't take anywhere and play with other musicians. So yeah, it's quite tricky.
Yeah, so I think the drum set isn't way better than the organ, because you have a lot of stuff to carry along, but yeah.
And at what point then did you go from playing with the school band to playing with other bands and doing other musical projects?
It was in the school as well, because in the school band, our music teacher, who was a super cool guy, and he was he was old, he was like, he was modern, he was listening to modern music, or classical music like AC/DC and Metallica and those rocky stuff that was also interesting for us young people.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, most of us wanted to play our own songs, who was not like a decision from our music teacher. And yeah, so we started, I guess, 2 years later, 2 years after I joined the music school, we founded our own band. We played like almost the same stuff, just a few other songs, but it was our own thing, and we have to arrange everything and so on. So yeah.
That's great. And where were you playing? Were you just playing at the school, or were you playing in other venues?
With a school band or with our own band?
With your own band?
The own band. In my hometown, there were like 2 famous concerts, and I'm super thankful that this city made this possible back then. There was one concert in the beginning of the year and one concert in the end of the year, and this concert was just for local young bands, and we had a few of them, except of my own band. And yeah, so we had those 2 concerts every year, but it was a good start. It was a really good start to get a feeling of how to play in front of people and how to behave, and yeah, it was really good.
So when you're playing drums in the early days for other people in a band, how much vocabulary did you have on the drum kit? So besides the basic kind of rock beat, how much stuff did you know?
Not that much.
Okay.
Because I was not practicing those standard books.
Okay.
Like, okay, as I said in the beginning, at first you have to go through the quarter notes on the hi-hat and play it together with your bass drum, and in the snare you got your first beat, bravo, and now we go on to the 8th notes, and then there's a 16th note as well. I never did all the stuff. I just listened. As I said, I listened to Basket Case of Green Day, and it's fast and 16 notes and all those stuff, and I just played it without. I have to practice a lot, of course, but I just played it without knowing what I do. So yeah, I never thought too much about vocabulary. I just tried to play what the song sounds like.
And at some point, did you kind of hit a limit with your ability on the drum kit, which made you kind of seek out other ways of improving?
Yeah. it was independence, playing playing 16th notes on the bass drum while playing an eighth note beat on the hi-hat and snare. And I always listened to this stuff in the front of my neighbor's house. This sounds like super special what he's doing. I thought, how can he do that? How is he able to create such a special sound? And then I went to my neighbor and told him that I heard something like boom skak boom skak, and I want to play it. And then he showed me, yeah, 16 notes, independent, over an eighth note beat on the hi-hat. And that was my first limit that I had to go over. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And after that, I took the lessons, and then I went to some more coordination things and things like double stroke rolls. I never heard of double stroke. I had no idea why I should learn this. I can do it with single strokes as well, but yeah, as you may know, you can play much faster when you play double strokes, and of course that got me from the beginning. So, I can be super fast without moving too much. Yeah, and so I learned more and more and more and more stuff.
Cool.
And another really, really cool thing was that my neighbor took me to funk drumming in the beginning. So I got to know Tower of Power as a very young boy, I would say.
Wow,
And
nice.
yeah, linear drumming, funk drumming is kind of complicated till today. But I think I got some good basics because he pushed me in this direction from the beginning. Yeah.
So spin forward a few years. You've been in a few different bands. You've formed your own band as well as joining other cover bands.
Yeah. So I had my own band, and like the small band. And when I got 18, 19 years old, I wanted to go bigger and bigger. And I was looking for a band who's playing all the festivals around us, like those. I don't know how to say that in English. Yeah, it's like there was like a rock show in every small village, because of the fireman club got 75 years old. They do a party. They need a band. And then I joined a band when I was 19 years old, with something like 50, 60 concerts a year. So that was a point where I would say I took the professional direction.
Nice. Okay. And what
Yeah.
were you doing alongside playing in the band at that point? Did you have a full-time job? Were you...
Yeah, of course. My parents always wanted me to learn a real job. To being a musician was never option for my parents. So they said, you have to learn a job where you got your money every month, and yeah. But that was okay for me. So I'm happy about this background nowadays.
And when you were learning the more advanced techniques, were there any particular books that you picked up?
Yeah, my neighbor showed me a lot of finger control exercises to get faster and to get smooth with my hands. And of course, he showed me up, down, tap, full stroke as well. So like the basic, but super important motions on a drum set or on a snare as well. So I got the contact with technique in the beginning, after 2 years, 2 years as well. But when I started playing in those bigger famous bands, I got much contact to a lot of other drummers who were playing in those big bands as well. Not a big band, in those big rock bands as well. And one of them, our bands had the same management, was like an amazing drummer. I was super impressed by his playing, and he was playing so effortlessly. And I talked to him a lot, and we became best friends. And he told me about Claus Hessler, and I checked him out, and I decided to join Claus Hessler as my teacher as well. So I contacted him, and for those of you who don't know Claus Hessler, I think Claus Hessler is like a super famous drummer and educator. But if you don't know, Claus Hessler is a German guy, and he's like the Yoda and master of Moeller technique. He's like the master student of Jim Chapin.
Okay. Yes.
I hope everyone knows Jim Chapin. He's like, because Jim Chapin is the master student of Sanford Moeller, and Moeller is the person who observed this technique from the drum corps drummers, and till this day, because unluckily Jim Chapin passed away a few years ago. Claus Hessler is the number one point to head on if you want to know something about Moeller technique.
So Claus Hessler is the authority on Moeller technique, and you started learning from him. So how long were you learning from him for?
I've been to Claus lessons for 1 year. So I drove to his place every 3 weeks, I guess, and we did lessons. He showed me a lot of stuff. I have to prepare all the stuff till the next lesson in 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
So at that point, did you feel like your drumming was kind of accelerating and getting a lot better in a short space of time?
Yeah, a lot. On the one hand, it's when you have a teacher, so I would recommend every student to get a teacher. It's easier to motivate you because you have to went back to this guy and to show him if you practiced your stuff or not. That helps a lot. This is amazing. And on the other hand, Claus Hessler is one of the best, if not the number one educator in the world.
It's amazing. And the fact you've had that opportunity to learn from him must have been incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. So he really knows how to motivate you, and he's also one of those guys who see what's wrong in your motions. So
So motivation obviously is a big thing for drummers today, as it has been for a long time, forever. And you've mentioned obviously playing for a band is a very motivating thing. And now you've got platforms like Drumeo that allow you to share your drumming ability with other people, and they can comment and see how you develop. And I found that really useful, as well as kind of sharing videos on Instagram and Facebook and getting feedback from other people. What do you think for yourself is the most kind of motivating way to stay hungry and stay practicing the drum kit and getting better?
To me, as I said in the beginning, the most motivating thing is to join a band, to join a group, to join a few people or friends, and to try to play songs with them. Because as I remember, it's like the most amazing feeling to play a rehearsal session and try to play a song, and to go back to this rehearsal session 1 week later or 2 weeks later and play with your bandmates and play the groove or the fill way better than you did 2 weeks before. And that motivated me a lot, because it happened often that they were looking at me like, oh wow, it didn't work the last 2 weeks, and now you can play. That's super cool. And now we can play this song. Okay, let's try this other song. It's a bit faster. And yeah, it motivates a lot to to play with other musicians.
You see, I'd not even thought about it that way. I'd thought about, maybe one day joining a band, playing in front of other people. I've played in front of people with my drum crew, and the other drumming kind of groups that I'm part of. But I'd never thought about it from the point of view of playing with other musicians and improving with the band. So that's something, yeah, absolutely. I can totally see that now, but I've never thought of it that way.
Yeah, I think many drummers are waiting too long because they want to get better and better and better. And if I'm super good, then I can join a band. No, join a band from the beginning. You don't have to join professional musicians. Join a guy who also started playing guitar or whatever and improve together. Motivate the other guys as well as they motivate you. And it makes it way easier to learn an instrument, I would say. And because you said the modern platforms like Drumeo, like YouTube, like social media, and Instagram and Facebook and whatever, these days they are a big motivation factor as well, I would say. One of the best platforms is like where you can meet other drummers, like Drumeo. Stuff like Instagram is kind of overwhelming sometimes because it's like Facebook as well. You see all those, everyone is on holiday every day. Everyone is having a good time every day, and everyone is playing super fantastic recorded stuff. And I think sometimes it can happen that you feel like you can't serve this and you can't make this. So sometimes it's overwhelming. Of course, take your inspiration of good drummers. But yeah, to me, the best motivation is to play with other musicians more than these modern platforms.
And like
or
Jared has
social
said,
media platforms.
Jared has said at Drumeo that if you're looking on Facebook, you're comparing, or Instagram, you're comparing your backstage with somebody else's front stage. So somebody's putting out their best stuff, and then you're sitting behind your kit and you're struggling with something and you're thinking to yourself, how can I ever be that good? But you're comparing something that they've done, they've worked really hard on, and they've put out the end result. You're comparing it with the work that you're doing to get there. And it's just a complete imbalance, and it feels like you're never going to get good enough, So I've struggled with that as well.
Yeah, that's right. So you just see those record of one moment in this person's life, and as you said, you don't know about the background.
Yeah.
Like I always was wondering about Jost Nickel, a super famous German drummer who's grooving like hell. And I always thought, how can he groove like this? How can he play like this? Till I went to a workshop of him and I took private lessons with him as well. And he told me about his background, that he was studying in the USA and he was practicing like 8 hours, 9 hours a day for years and years and years. Yeah. And of course, that's why he is grooving like a masterpiece.
Yeah. I watched a video with Gavin Harrison, one of my godlike drummers that I look up to, and he was saying in a recent interview on YouTube, so I can link that, but he was saying that he spent something like 10 or 15 years drumming every day and practicing every day for like 10 or 15 years. And at that point I was like, oh, I'm never going to get there, It's just, this peak is just like so high. But it does take a lot of work, obviously, to improve and get to that standard. And very few people stick with it and get to that point. So your own progression from playing in a school band to now kind of recording, releasing albums, and that you're now teaching, what is it that motivates you today in terms of still improving and still learning, obviously, but at what point did you think, I want to share this with other people and I want to teach other people?
I started teaching very early. So when I joined my first big band, um, when I was 19 years old, I directly started teaching because um, the music school around the corner, were looking for a drummer who can teach their students, and
Okay.
I felt like my playing is okay. I can teach the beginners,
Hmm.
of course, and I don't know. I just like to share what I got and what I can do with other people. Um, Not because of showing them how good I'm behind the drum kit, or um, to be kind of a big head, just to make other people play drums and making music, because it's fantastic when people making music.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that was a point why I started really early in playing drums. And of course, it's super cool to see your students 10 years later still playing drums and playing really, really good, sometimes better than you
Hmm.
do now. And that's really cool. Um,
And how did teaching change your approach to learning yourself?
I had I had to learn what I play, because as I told you, I was a self-taught drummer. I just took a few lessons from my neighbor, and I listened to music and played it. I listened to the other song, played it, but I had no idea what I'm doing. So that was kind of confusing in the beginning, because I knew that I can show him boom, tsk, jak, tsk, dudum, tsk, jak, tsk, but I can't describe what I'm doing.
Hmm.
And as a teacher, I think you should really know every strike, every stroke you do, and every note you play. You should be aware of every note you play, um, and tell it your student as well.
Hmm.
So that was like, um, yeah, a big challenge to me in the beginning, but it improved my playing as well, because I got to know all the background behind my playing, and I could fill up some gaps. I didn't know how to play stuff, and yeah.
And what do you enjoy the most about drumming today?
Mm, Writing my own songs with my bands. So I
Wow.
switched in 2013. Till 2013, I played in cover rock bands. So
Yeah.
we covered all those famous classic rock hits and modern pop songs and so on. And in 2013, I decided um, to finish drumming in cover rock bands and start playing only with my own bands, to write own songs, to do songwriting sessions and so on. And yeah, that's what touches my heart, and what I really like to do. And of course, this is a point where I can improve way more, because I can create songs and I can put stuff to this song, what I think what is good for it. And if I see or I feel that I'm not able to play this or that, I will practice for these skills. And if you play in cover bands only, you just play what other people already played.
Yeah.
Of course, you can change this and that, and that's okay. But yeah, I think you're improving more when you start doing your own stuff, writing your own stuff, putting your own personality into music, and so on.
I guess that's another level up from teaching. So you start off playing, then you get to a point where you know that you can probably teach beginners, and that kind of levels you up. And then when you get to a point where you can start writing drum parts for other songs, again,
Hmm.
that's like another step up. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't I can't even conceive of what that must be like to be able to sit down and write a drum part for a song.
Yeah, but I don't think it's super complicated. You just do it.
You
That's
just do it.
yeah, I know that it's nothing that you can grab and take with you. Okay, I just have to do it. Um, I just took a drum lesson from another guy, because uh, I think I'm a good groove drummer. I can serve music really good, and let's say it this way, I feel super comfortable when I can serve music. But I'm not a good solo independent drummer, like
Okay.
Thomas Lang or Jost Nickel as well, or um, those famous drummers. And I just took a lesson from another famous German drummer, Simon Gattringer, um, and I asked him about soloing and how can I improve my soloing, and he
Hmm.
was like the same. Yeah, just do it. And in the beginning, it doesn't help that much because you don't know where to start. But then he gave me just like a few points. You have to do it like a scheme, like A, B, A. Play A, the doom boom gag, doom to gag. A again, doom gag, doom to gag. Then B, doom gag to doom to gag. And then A, doom gag to doom gag. And
Okay.
then put it a level higher and so on. And he said, now just do it, sit behind the drums and play like a scheme. And yeah, just do it. Do it again, do it again, do it again, and you will improve.
And obviously, listening to a lot of other music and like learning from other music is really important as well. So, what kind of music are you listening to when you're, yeah, in your downtime when you're not behind the kit? What are you getting inspiration from?
Um, I'm a big singer-songwriter fan.
Hmm.
So not that weird, complicated stuff. Um, but when I was younger, I was listening a lot to punk rock music. As I said, Green Day and those stuff, um, and hard rock like AC/DC, and some people would say metal when I say Metallica. Um, even though Lars Ulrich is a very discussed drummer, I learned a lot from this music, and these days I'm listening to a lot of singer-songwriter music, and that's why I'm really dig into grooving, like Jost Nickel is doing, and Simon Gattringer as well, and Wolfgang Hafner, and so on, famous German drummers.
Okay. And what bands have they played with? What groups have they played with?
Um, Jost Nickel is known for Jan Delay and Disco Number One. It's also a German band, but really, really famous in Germany.
Hmm.
Simon Gattringer is playing for Johannes Oerding, is also a German singer-songwriter. Um, yeah, so most of them are German bands. Um, so maybe I'm not so into yet. Not no. Of course, I'm listening to funk music as well, like Tower of Power and this stuff. And this stuff is super complicated to play. David Garibaldi is like god of funk drumming. This is all stuff that I can take a lot of inspiration from, as well as Bavarian music, Austrian music. There's a big scene um, for singer-songwriter music in our area. So yeah,
Okay. Are there any particular names that people should check out, people should look up?
yeah. As I said, I think most of them know Jost Nickel. If it comes to grooving and fill-ins as well, he wrote 3 books, 3 really nowadays famous books. Um, it's a groove book on the one hand, the fill book on the other hand, and a snare book on the third hand. Yeah, I'm a big fan of his drumming, and because he owns all these capabilities like
Yeah.
grooving,
Hmm.
playing serving music, playing cool fill-ins, playing drum solos. Um, yeah,
One thing I've always loved about your play-alongs that you do for Drumeo and your other music is that it's very clearly song-serving music that you play on the drum kit. You're not you're not playing to demonstrate your ability on the drums. You're playing for the music, and that it must have taken a long time to get to that point. But it's clear that you really appreciate the music that you're putting drums to. So that's always impressed me.
Thanks a lot. It's really good to hear. Yeah, yeah. But I think on the other on I think a big point is that I don't know how to show off all these tricky fills. And when it comes to a play along where you have to play a solo section and now you have to step out of your comfort zone, I don't feel, of course, because I have to step out of my comfort zone, I don't feel that comfortable. And yeah, there are super amazing drummers, like I already said, or like Tony Royster Jr. or Thomas Lang. And when it comes to a solo part, they are just doing the craziest stuff. But yeah, that's something I want to learn. I still want to learn. Um, Even I don't feel like a solo drummer and an independent drummer. But yeah, the funniest point to play music is when it comes to just serving the music.
Hmm. So what's the next challenge for Dany MEYER on the drum kit? What are you going to work on for maybe the next European Drumeo Hangout? Are you going to give a drum solo?
I hope not, but maybe it's like a tune with a vamp to solo over a vamp. Yeah, but of course, I think that would be a good point to work on. Yeah, just do it. Just play a solo.
Hmm.
It can't be that bad. So it's because it's you. It's you. You don't have to compare to others. It's your own solo, and it's as I said in the last Drameo clinic as well. Um, it's your own background, and nobody can judge you about your background. And yeah,
How much do you critique your own drumming? How much do you listen back to things that you've played and use that as a way to improve? Do you listen back to yourself?
a lot, a lot.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to the drum cover stuff.
Hmm.
I'm filming myself. That's the good thing with a few angles, camera angles, and I'm recording myself. And um, yeah, that's a good way to see where it don't grooves as you feel it sometimes. It's a big difference to me to sit behind the kit and to play drums and then listening to it. It's not the same.
Yes. Yeah, I
But
totally
it's a
get
good
you.
way. Yeah, but it's a good way to learn.
Hmm.
I think the 2 points, the how you feel behind the drum set and how you listen on the recording, um, those both points get together more and more and more and more. I think, yeah. Um, that's a point I really would recommend to every student. Record yourself. These days it's super easy because every smartphone is the best camera you can get sometimes.
Hmm.
So put it next to your drum set, record yourself, and watch yourself, listen to it, and improve.
Definitely. I've definitely found since starting to record myself and share my own videos, even watching them back, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to share that one because that didn't sound as good as I thought it sounded when I played it. Or even obviously watching your technique back. Um, Sometimes you feel like you're playing it the right way, and then you watch yourself back and you can see that you're doing something really weird. Like recently I was doing the single stroke roll challenge that Drumeo has. And in the
Hmm.
course of recording that, I found I was doing some weird movements with my hands that just I didn't think I was doing at the time, but watching it back, I'm doing this
Yeah.
weird cyclical thing with my hands, and it just doesn't it doesn't look very good.
Yeah, I hear you on that point. Yeah, and that's a super good way to learn, a modern way to learn playing drums and to improve sometimes without a teacher. Some people are not able to join a teacher because of distance or money or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to learn.
So philosophically, what has drumming done for you as a human being? How has it improved you as a person?
A lot, I would say. Because when I was younger, I had those migraine attacks, those headache attacks, like every 2 weeks. and I didn't know why. It was always when it got louder.
Okay.
And why I'm laughing is because drumming is like a super loud instrument. Um, but I didn't recognize it for a long time. But after I started drumming, um, those migraine attacks stopped from one day to the other. I didn't recognize it, of course, because they just didn't show up. And after many years, I went to, I don't know the English word. Maybe it's an osteopath.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and told him about my feelings and my music and so on. And he told me that he thinks that this drumming was like my relief valve. And so of course, it changed me in so many directions because um, it was smoothing my inner self. I was um, not so frustrated because of the headache attacks, the migraine attacks, and yeah, that was a big change for my life.
Hmm.
Some friends of mine have those migraine attacks till today, so I can see sometimes how frustrating it is to get those attacks without doing anything. They just show up. Yeah, so I'm super grateful to my to my music teacher back then that he put me behind this drum kit for the choir and solved my migraine attacks, my problem.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And what are you looking forward to then in the next year, 5 years? What are you hoping to achieve?
Um, of, as I said, of course, I want to get more into those soloing and super fast stuff, like Jason Scott. He's super famous on Instagram as well. So if you don't know this guy, check him out.
Okay.
And he's playing like the super fast stuff, and it sounds good. And yeah, these days, the past few weeks, I recognized that my foot technique isn't that good. My hand technique is okay, but my foot technique isn't that good. I So I wrote a mail to Claus Hessler as well and told him that I don't want to learn something about Moeller technique now. I want to go back to him to work on my foot technique. I will start it in June this year, so in a few weeks.
And is that going to be every 3 weeks you're going to be going back and improving?
We have to see. We don't know because he's like super busy. There's just like one free date for the next 3 months. So we will meet in June and then in September. But that's okay. I think, as I said in the beginning as well, if you just have to push yourself because you have to show up later to your teacher, will motivate you a lot to practice and practice and practice. And that's a big goal for me to improve on this point of view. And yeah, of course, to write more music. Nowadays, we are in a big songwriting session for the past few months with my singer-songwriter band, with my Bavarian singer-songwriter band, and I have another German singer-songwriter band as well. And I really want to keep on writing songs. Maybe my own songs one day, so that they just came out of my own feather without other musicians. I don't know. That's a big thing for me to achieve.
And I'm sure you will achieve it. You are a very talented drummer already. Like I said, the song-serving drums that you play on all the music that I've heard from you is incredible. I look forward to having another drum clinic at the next European Drumeo meeting. Hopefully, if we can have one next year, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
And we can include in the show notes, obviously, links to the bands that you're part of and the projects that you've been a part of recently, so people can check those out. To wrap up, what would you say to people who are listening to this, who are maybe struggling with motivation behind the drum kit, who want to improve, who maybe don't see a way forward? What would you recommend that they do, and what is it that drives you still today?
Maybe it's the most obvious thing that every drummer or musician would like to say to other people, and it's like, keep on practicing and following your passion. And especially in those past few lockdown months, I think we were able to learn again how important it is to have social contact with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, music plays a big role in social contact. And
sharing what you're playing, like sharing with other people, whether it's on a platform like Drumeo or even on social media, not maybe taking the things that you see that other people are sharing and comparing yourself with other people, but just sharing. What really helped me is thinking about it as documenting what you're doing. You're not showing people how good you are, you're just documenting the stage you're at, because everyone is always improving, right?
Absolutely. And that's one point that I'm super grateful for. The drumming community is like such a social community. It's the most social musicians community compared to, I would say, it doesn't matter, guitarists, piano players, bass players. I don't know such a big networking community than drummers have, and drummers are super social. I don't know why, but it's a fact. Drummers are social. So don't be shy to get in contact with any other drummer. Ask him for an advice if you got stuck in your playing or whatever. I'm sure you will always find a person who can help you out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everyone that I've talked to has been very open, obviously yourself included, sharing all your knowledge, helping me out with things that I've struggled with the Moeller technique. And yeah, it's a really great community to be a part of. Hence this podcast and hence this channel. So Dany MEYER, thank you very much again for being my first guest. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Have an amazing rest of your evening, and I am sure we will talk again very soon.
I hope so. Thanks for having me here, and see you soon.
That's great. Thanks, Dany.
You're welcome.